Yo, what is up guys? It is Legendary Luke back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be answering the highly debated question, is game sense or mechanics more important in Apex Legends? And more specifically, which should you focus on for faster improvement? To answer this question, you first have to fully understand what both game sense and mechanics actually mean. When someone says game sense, they could be referring to a number of things. Rotations, map knowledge, and legend abilities are a few examples. But technically speaking, game sense is a super broad term and includes much more than people originally think. Game sense is the smart side of the game. It's everything I mentioned before, plus every decision you make in the game. Predicting your opponents, knowing what to do in fights, knowing when to heal and when to shoot is all game sense. On the other hand, you have mechanics, which actually includes much less. Mechanics are often described as the actions you take in a game and how you do them. So in Apex Legends, the main two are aiming and movement. A good distinction to make between these two is that mechanics are what you do with your hands, whereas game sense is what you do with your brain. The general notion in the video game community and Apex Legends community is that game sense is more important than mechanics, especially when it comes to competitive and ranked play. But the actual answer is a little bit less black and white. Obviously, game sense and mechanics work hand in hand, which is why answering this question is so difficult. You can't have one without the other. Take a wall bounce for example. There's two sides to knowing how to do a wall bounce. There's the side where you mechanically have the button sequence down for doing the wall bounce. And then there's knowing when and where to use the wall bounce in game. You can see how knowing how to do a wall bounce, even with 100% accuracy, wouldn't matter if you didn't know when to use it in game. And knowing exactly when and where a wall bounce is useful wouldn't be of any use if you couldn't actually execute the wall bounce without messing up. So then the question becomes, what should you focus on? Which one should you put your time and effort into to improve in Apex Legends? Well, this time there is a more concrete answer. Focusing more on mechanics will benefit you the most and show the fastest results. I, along with others, are living proof of this. It was when I focused primarily on mechanics, not only on them, but primarily on them, that I improved the fastest. I still watched YouTube videos and VOD reviews, but kept my attention on mechanics. The truth is that you cannot just get better game sense. Game sense is way harder to acquire quickly. It takes tons and tons of time and games played. There's really no way to fast track the process besides maybe watching streamers and videos like this one, but nothing comes close to the speed at which you can improve mechanics. My case is a perfect example of this. I always had good game sense, but often felt like I was lacking in the mechanics department, specifically aim. I often outplayed better opponents only to be out-aimed and lose the fight. Yet I would win ranked games through smart rotations and pure decision making only. Then one day I noticed that these better players who were out-aiming me and overall beating me weren't just devoting all of their time into playing normal battle royale, ranked, and arenas matches. So I started grinding on different aim trainers and put in time in the firing range. I would sit there practicing tracking, flicks, and some of the most advanced movement techs in Apex. I thought about crosshair placement as well as combinations that would help me in game. Over the course of a few weeks, my mechanics drastically improved, and I feel like I'm a much better player today overall. I'm not going to lie though, this was not solely because I focused on my mechanics. I was still playing normal matches, watching pro stream, and watching YouTube as well. So going 100% all in on mechanics is not the answer. If I had to give it a number, I would say it's a 75% focus on mechanics and 25% focus on game sense. Working on things like aim training, movement tech, 1v1s, and practice with grenades will help you get a lot further, a lot faster, versus worrying about your positioning and rotations. Those things will come through experience and with time. You can't learn game sense unless you're playing or watching someone better than you play. Or of course watching my videos. And even in the case of watching someone else, you still need to go and apply it yourself. Anyone can see the difference between their gameplay and that of NRG Sweet or TSM Imperial Hal, for example. But the only way they can improve off of what they learned is by playing on their own. Hence why you need to be playing yourself and working on mechanics. The other big reason I think that you should be focusing on mechanics is that practicing game sense will never outweigh mechanics. Take movement for example. The game sense is knowing how to make use of movement techniques in a real game, when to use it and where. But the way in which you actually do the movement technique is all mechanics. So by practicing certain movement techniques like wall bounces that are all mechanics, you will slowly recognize when to use them in game, meaning you will have successfully improved both your mechanics and your game sense when you only practiced your mechanics. You cannot say that when you think about practicing game sense though. There's just no scenarios where your game sense practice would outweigh any additional improvement on your mechanics. Thus, most practice you can do is more optimal for mechanics. I apologize if anyone is confused. This can be a pretty difficult topic to navigate. To make it clear, I'm framing this discussion differently from a lot of other people. There's no most important part of Apex. Both game sense and mechanics are essential in being a good player, and both are equally important in being the best overall player. You can debate that all you want, but in terms of what you can actually focus on in practice, that's where the 75 mechanics, 25 game sense comes in. I don't think you should spend half your time thinking about rotations and working on game sense, because those things are simply much harder to practice and make use of in game. Anytime you explicitly practice game sense, you're not actually improving it as much as you may think. And when you go and do practice it in game, you're really practicing your mechanics as well. So I'm framing it as what you should do as a player who wants to improve, while others were looking at the top players and analyzing them. All in all, I think this is a super important and fun topic to talk about and understand. If you want to take away one thing from this video, it would be that game sense and mechanics are equally important. However, focusing on and practicing mechanics will lead to more improvement. So go out, get in aim labs, get in the firing range, and start improving. If you don't know where to start, check out my channel. I have plenty of videos on how to improve both your game sense and mechanics. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, I would love it if you could like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day and thank you for watching.